Hello, my name is Jace Hyatt, and I will be doing a tutorial on the financing tool for house buyers of Utah. You'll notice here at the bottom that we have 3 tabs in Excel: Introduction, Financing Decision Matrix, and the Debt Repayment Schedule. This introduction tab is really just a quick set of instructions which tells you how to use the debt repayment schedule. As you can tell, there's a lot going on in here. It's pretty intuitive just by reading the different fields, but you can come back here and review the instructions, and it just tells you how to navigate that screen, which we will do here in a minute. But first, let's look at the financing decision matrix. What this tab is here to do is to really answer 2 questions. The first question to answer is, what are all the possible sources of financing that I can utilize? Well, if you look over here in the cell range from B to E, here we have the different possible sources of financing. So whether it be credit card, hard money lenders, home equity, or the following 3: proceeds from a sale of a previous project, personal funds, and banks. And so these last 3 right here, you'll see there's a NA after them, just meaning not applicable, given the information that I have. And typically banks is going to be not applicable because they're looking for 30 days or so to close on the home, whereas generally with the type of work that Utah House Buyers has been doing, they need to close within 2 days. And so just given the discrepancy in the timeline, banks usually are not going to be an option of financing, but I did want to make it known that these are all the possible sources of financing. And then just a quick note right here is that the IRS may also be viewed as a financing entity, and that is because really, if we're not paying taxes, that money does not belong to us, it belongs to the IRS. So even though we have access to it, that doesn't make it ours, and the IRS may charge fees or penalties, and additionally 5% annually. Right about now is the going rate for outstanding taxes. So with that being said, let's just take a quick look at how this tab works. So we have 3 different scenarios: a worst case scenario, a better case, and a best case, or good, better, best, I guess is what we really should call it. But you'll notice that we have these red arrows, and these red arrows indicate which cells or which numbers we can change to alter our calculations given a certain project. So let's say, for example, let's just look at it as it is. So credit card right now, there's no upfront fee, rate is 0%, and there's our credit limit, $15,000. Hard money is a 2% upfront fee with an 8% rate, and the limit $400,000. Obviously that may not be accurate just given the nature of the loan or whatever is the collateral in the loan, but for now we'll leave it at $400,000. And then the home equity loan is 0% upfront and 5.46% annually, and there's a limit of $200,000. So the worst case scenario, as you can imagine, is, let's just say, our pure source of financing comes from hard money. Now, right now, the amount's $300,000, but we can easily change that. If I just type in $400,000, and you'll notice that these numbers change automatically. Right here is the length of the loan, so we assume that we will pay it off in 6 months. Now we can change that to, let's say it's 8 months. Now this right here shows us the interest that we'll be paying. So if it's a $400,000 loan of hard money, 8 months, we're going to be paying in total about $30,000 worth of interest. Now let's move on to this next scenario, our better case scenario, and we can see that here it's a mix of debt sources. We have hard money, home equity, and credit cards. Now I will note that these credit cards right here this is on a monthly basis, so right now it's saying, because the situation usually is that the Utah house buyers or house buyers of Utah, they pay the minimum payment on their credit card each month. So I just assume, let's just say it's $200, but we can change that. Let's say it's $300 a month. That'll change it. Let's say it's for 8 months to keep the scenario comparable with the first scenario. And then let's just say that the hard money, let's say that we're paying $250,000, and that would make our home equity $150,000. And we're going to change these to 8 months as well. So you'll notice, and I guess really what we should do is we should lower a little bit of our home equity loan, because we have credit cards that are gonna help take some of that debt away. So $300 minimum payment. So we'll just say that what we'll do is we will change this to $135,000, assuming that we have maxed out our credit cards at $15,000. So now the total is going to be $400,000. So that is appropriate. 8 months, and so you'll see that it flows through, and right here is now the total interest that we'll be paying between a mix of debt sources. So this is $29,000, $25,000. We can tell that this is a better case scenario. Now the best case scenario comes from this home equity, because it has the lowest interest rates. And so if we just change this to $400,000 and we change this to 8 months, we can see that we're only paying, oh, you know what, and this doesn't flow through. So I'll hurry and do I said equal to that. So we can see that that flows through, and you know what, these months don't flow through either. So I will go ahead and this total doesn't either. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll fix these cells once I end the video. But these will just update according to what that is. In fact, I can just show that right there, and that'll be a sum. But I'll do that once I finish recording the video anyways. So that you want these all to be the same. You want these inputs to be the same, essentially, to make sure that you're comparing like things. But you'll notice that the best case scenario is where it's just home equity. And now what I did is I made these dynamic. So let's say that the hard money lenders, let's say that this changes to 10%. Put a 10 in there and it flows through. And now we can see what the new amount looks like. Or let's say that the home equity now requires an upfront rate of 1%. Put that in there and it'll update accordingly. Now I'm going to go through, I'm going to undo those two, but you get the picture. Now for our last tab, the debt repayment schedule, the first thing you want to do when working on a new project is you want to clear the form. So we'll just click clear form, and then this we can put in the beginning of the month. So right now it is December 2018. Now we want to add some debt. And what this tab is going to do, it's going to be an amortization schedule for our interest payments. So let's say we have a loan, and let's just say that the balance of the loan is going to be $300,000, and our annual APR will say is 8%. Months to pay off. Let's say that we're going to keep the scenario equivalent with the previous tab. So we'll just say 8 months, and we know that our minimum payment, because we're not trying to pay down principal on our loan, we're just trying to pay the minimum amount of interest. So even though it says optional right here, as you can tell, we're going to be inputting an amount right here, and let's just say that it's going to be $1,200. So we'll hit add debt and say okay, but we also have some credit card debt. Credit card balance, we'll say it's $15,000. Now it's 0% APR, but we make a minimum payment. 8 months, minimum payment's going to be $300. Add that debt, and let's just add one more. We'll just say loan 2 balance, we'll just say it's $100,000. And then our APR, we'll say it's 6%. Months paid off. It's important that you keep the same timeline, time frame, and then we'll just say our payment for this one is going to be $800. Add the debt. Now, once we have added that debt, we can just hit calculate, which is this button number 3, and it shows us by month, December through July of 2019. Shows us for our loan, first loan, loan 2, and our credit card. Shows us how much we're paying each month, and over here it's total monthly payments, and then of course total interest paid by loan with a total payment, total payment of the combined debt. So as you can tell, this is a very handy tool when you want to have a more granular view of the interest that you're paying. So just to reiterate, this is more of a bigger view between different scenarios. Just trying to decide what, and the reason that there are 3 scenarios is because there will be times where you might only be able to get a hard money loan. Ideally, you would like to just use all home equity, or ideally, proceeds from a previous sale. But there are going to be times where you can't just get the best case scenario with home equity, so you have to use a mix. Or if that's not possible, then you will have to use just hard money. So there will be times, and that's why there's 3 scenarios, when you can't use the ideal scenario. But this is more of a high-level view of what's going on, and then once you figure out which mix of debt you'll be using, you can just input it right here in the debt repayment schedule, and this will give you a breakdown by month. So hopefully that this was a helpful tutorial, and that it will be good use in organizing the finances and help you make financially wise decisions.